Hi Saba, I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer of all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, and you've paid for the additional diagnostic corrective service for Speak Clearly lessons number 7 through 24. And I'm going to listen to your voice recording. I think you've done 2 pronunciation practice exercises. You've also completed a independent speaking response, right? So let's hear what you have to say. So if I remember correctly, with this particular one, you're focusing on the vowels. The ah and the o, I think, right? So let me go ahead and find that again. I remember the first key word is army. Okay, here we go. So let's go up here to the very beginning of this exercise. Let me make sure I'm on the same page as you. Okay, so we have the ah and the o. We have like bought, boat, ah, o, ah, o. Now let's go back to the exercise. And what I'll do is I'll go through the exercise. Any problems at all, I will bring them to your attention. Remember, part of this is, in order to score 26 on TOEFL speaking, you have to improve your pronunciation. Now, you're already doing a good job, I think, organizing and developing ideas, but you have some language use issues you're working on. You have some pronunciation issues that you're trying to solve. So let's listen to the first one.
Creating problems within the non-zones of the native economy. 2. Indeed, it's known that forms of dance play an important role within a culture and reveal a wide range of information about the characteristics of a culture.
Okay, not bad. Let's go back to the word known. Known, a little bit longer. Indeed, it is known that forms of dance play an important role within a culture and reveal a wide range of information about the characteristics of a culture.
3. Sitting Bull and the Sikhs realized.
This word it doesn't matter, but it's called Sioux. This is the name of Native American people in the United States, Indians. Sitting Bull and the Sioux.
They could not defeat the army alone.
And so a little bit longer, alone, alone, alone.
They must fight on their own land.
On their own land, on their own land. So the O, you want to make that just a little bit longer than what you're doing.
4. Ice speeds up repair process and should be applied for 10 to 30 minutes on and off for not longer than 72 hours.
Okay, for not longer, for a on and off for not longer than 72 hours.
5. It is important to point out.
I would probably not pause after important. Say, it is important to point out. That's where your first pause should be. It is important to point out that adult feedback has a direct effect on development.
That adult feedback has a direct effect on development at this stage. Again, in helping the child to acquire the words.
Yeah, good. The words. This is one thing that you're working on right now. Don't forget when you're speaking to put your determiners, a and the, before your nouns, your count nouns or your plural nouns.
To express increasingly subtle differences in reference.
Okay, I want you to read this one with me one more time. Okay, let's do it together here. Try to read it at my pace. It is important to point out that adult feedback has a direct effect on development at this stage, again in helping the child to acquire the words to express increasingly subtle differences in reference.
Young children.
So now we're going to the exercise. Now, something that you should be doing here, this is also important. As you do these pronunciation exercises, you don't have to post this online for me, but this is a good practice exercise. Read the paragraph, take down some notes about the main points, and then without looking at the paragraph, I want you to re-explain it using your own vocabulary and your own grammar. Right? And this is very good for integrated speaking. Okay, so you say...
Typically overgeneralize their early work.
You're saying typically. No, it's typically. So be careful about the I and the E vowels. Probably in your language you have the E, but maybe not the I. So we have two words. We have pit, peat, bit, beat. Can you hear the difference there? Okay, let's keep going.
Or hello phrases in the act of deciphering the semantics of their language.
So that's a little bit, you're reading that a little bit too slowly. I want you to read that sentence with me here. Notice my pausing. You might want to play it one time and hear me say it, and then the next time play it again and read with me. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Young children typically overgeneralize their early words or phrases in the act of deciphering the semantics of their language. Now, did you notice that my pause was right after phrases? That's it. Why is that? We basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 stress words. I have a pause. Typically, when you're speaking, you don't want to go beyond 6 or 7 stress words. If you go to 8 or 9 and then you pause, that's probably too much. But if you pause with too few words, that's also not good. For example, if I say young children typically overgeneralize their early words or phrases, that's too many pauses. So I said again, young children typically overgeneralize their early words or phrases in the act of deciphering the semantics of their language. You'll learn more about pausing and phrasing when you get into the more advanced areas of my course, but I'm going to start bringing up a lot of different issues right now so you can kind of get used to it.
Thus, cat may be applied to anything with 4 legs. Daddy is any adult male. As the child experiments with increasingly sophisticated hypotheses about the meaning of words,
Okay, that wasn't bad. That was pretty good.
previously acquired items may drop out of the vocabulary.
No, wait a minute. I think you're pronouncing that based on your own vocabulary. You want to put the stress on the second syllable, vocabulary. And then drop out. You'll learn more about this when you study blending and thought groups, but the P needs to be connected to the O. So we don't say drop out. We say may drop out of the vocabulary. So let's read this one again. I want you to read this sentence with me. You ready? As the child experiments with increasingly sophisticated hypotheses about the meaning of words, previously acquired items may drop out of the vocabulary.
An example is the 16-month-old who went through a period of calling his mother Lady Daddy.
Exactly. Now let's go back.
Were I to move to another city, I would choose to move to Berlin.
Okay, wait a minute.
Of calling his mother Lady Daddy. Were I to move
I missed
to
it again.
another
Hold
city,
on.
I would choose to move to.
I need to go back to something here.
Is the 16-month-old who went through a period of calling his mother Lady.
It's the word 16. A 16-month-old who went through. You sound like you're saying 60. But a 16-month-old went through a period of calling his mother Lady Daddy. Okay, repeat these after me, just some practice. You can play the video a couple of times to get used to it. 1330, 1440, 1550, 1660, 1770, 1880, 1990. So be careful about your pronunciation of those words.
Were I to move.
Okay, now you're going to I think it's the independent speaking practice test number 4. So let's take a look at it together so I can make sure I know which one it is. And I think you're already starting off with very good grammar. I can tell you said, were I to move, which means if I were to move. So you're talking about a hypothetical situation. You're using the grammar that you see in the prompt. That's a good strategy. This is a hard question because it does require you to talk about a present impossible condition. You're not moving to another city right now, so you want to use past tense verbs to talk about a present impossible situation. So I will pay attention to those verbs. So if you were to move to another city, which city would you choose? Now the other thing, I have to take a look at the templates too here. Give me a second. Let me do this for just a minute. So I'm going to click on the the independent speaking, so we need to open that up. Okay, let's go back to, here we go here. Okay, let's keep going.
To another city, were I to move to another city, I would choose to move to Burlingame in California for two very important reasons.
Now, for two important reasons, starting off your topic statement like that is not unique in any way. 1,000 other people are going to say exactly the same thing. That's probably not your best strategy here. I would like you to use a little bit more complicated way of organizing. Let me get a pencil here. Hold on a minute. Let me write down what your key points are. Okay, here we go.
The first one is the weather. Where I live.
The first one is the weather. That's not going to cut it. You say, first of all, I would like to move to this city because of the climate. You have to be more specific. Make sure that you explicitly and directly connect your first point back to the speaking task. Don't assume the reader already knows what you mean. The first one is weather. No, that's not the way you want to organize this type of speaking task.
Now is in South San Francisco. The weather is windy, foggy, and in summer the temperature is about 60 Fahrenheit, which is kind of cold, and the children do not enjoy going to the park. On the other hand, in Burlingame, I think the temperature is around 80 Fahrenheit also.
Now, I would not focus as much on the weather in San Francisco. I'd focus more on the weather in the city that you want to move to, because you have to give reasons to help support the argument you're trying to make, but you only have 45 seconds to do this. Now, you're already 30 seconds into your speech. You haven't said very much about the weather of the city that you want to move to.
So it's much better. The second reason that I am into gardening. Living in Berlin.
No. The second reason, you might say, secondly, I also want to move to this city because, or another reason why I want to move to this city is,
will allow me grow different kinds of trees, vegetables, and herbs. I know my children like picking up. Me grow different kinds of trees, vegetables, and herbs. It's much better. The second reason that I am into gardening.
The second reason I'm into gardening. Okay, so gardening. Okay, now let's go back and revise your topic statement. Remember what you said in the beginning? You have two reasons to support your position. I wouldn't do that. I would say the city has nice weather, and also I have a hobby of gardening, which is why I would like to move to this city if I were to move. You might say something like that. So what I'm saying is state your key points in the beginning of your speech as a way of framing what's going to happen in the body of the speech. So you need to improve how you're organizing your response.
Birmingham will allow me grow different kinds of trees, vegetables, and herbs.
I think you're saying
I know
Birmingham,
my children
am I right? Let's go back.
That I am into gardening. Living in Burlingame will allow me grow.
I think you're saying Birmingham.
Different kinds of trees, vegetables, and herbs. I know my children.
Let me go back. Did you say will or would allow me?
temperature is around 80 Fahrenheit all summer, so it's much better. The second reason that I am into gardening. Living in Burlingame will allow me grow different kinds of trees, vegetables,
That's right.
and herbs.
I think you said would allow me to grow.
I know my children like picking up strawberries from our backyard, and that's why I feel like that.
It's not bad. I think let's take a look at the rubrics now and see where we're at. Okay, so in this particular practice test, I think that you no, this is the wrong one. Hold on a second. I got to go to the right one here. So independent speaking, I need to click here. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's take a look at a few areas here. So delivery, you have you speak clearly with fluid expression of ideas, minor pauses and difficulties. I think that you were in pretty good shape with your pronunciation on this one, so I don't see any major problems here. I think that you had fairly natural sounding grammar and vocabulary, but I feel you're a little bit limited with some of your grammar. You remember some of the modifications I made where you said, you know, the first reason is weather, but I said, first of all, I would move to this city because of the weather. So you used a very simplistic type sentence to introduce the point. I gave you a suggestion of how you could do it in a more complex manner and better connect your first point back to your topic statement. So it could be that you're a little bit limited in your grammar. You're not able to use the grammar that I was suggesting at least yet, but maybe if you watch the video and play it back a few times, you get more used to it. So I think there's some limitations with your grammar on this response, and I think that you could better connect, I think, the body of the speech back to the purpose of the speech, as I said. So some limitations with, I think, grammar and also in how you're organizing your ideas. Now, to help you expand your grammar, go to my grammar lesson number 1, and you can also go to speaking lesson number 2. The first 5-6 minutes of the video will show you different ways that you can begin your speaking response, and you can take a look at some of those possibilities and start incorporating that. The main thing I want you to get away from right now is I have 2 reasons to support my point of view or something, or there are 2 reasons why I believe this. Let's not do that with the independent speaking and independent writing tasks. I'd like you to be more original than that, and that's going to demonstrate to the IBT human raters that you're a little bit more advanced in your English and you know more about how to connect ideas together. All right, so your score here, I'm going to say you're probably, I'm going to say maybe right around 2.83 out of 4, 22 points out of 30 on this particular independent speaking task for the reasons that I explained.